Train your brain to outsmart any situation. That's not just a title, it's the difference between being controlled by life or taking control of it. Think about your own days. How many times have you lost focus because your phone pulled you in? How often have you reacted in anger and later regretted it? How many opportunities have slipped away because fear or doubt held you back? These are not random accidents, they're patterns your mind has built over time. And if you don't reprogram those patterns, they'll keep running your life on autopilot. This guide is about breaking free from that cycle. It's about building the kind of mental strength that helps you stay calm under stress, make smart choices under pressure, and keep moving when others stop. I'm not here to give theory, I'm here to give you tools you can use today. Because once you train your brain, you don't just survive situations, you outsmart them every single time. Chapter 1. Reprogram your brain to stop reacting and start choosing. When you walk through life, one of the greatest powers you can ever develop is the ability to take control of your mind. Most people spend their days reacting. Something happens, and immediately their emotions take over. They hear a word they don't like, and they get angry. They face an obstacle, and they get discouraged. They experience a delay, and they lose patience. But there is another way to live. You can reprogram your brain to stop reacting and start choosing. And when you make that shift, you begin to rise above the noise. You no longer get tossed around by every small event. You become the one who decides what to think, how to feel, and what to do next. The first step in this process is awareness. You cannot change what you are not aware of. Begin by noticing the moments in your day where you automatically react. It might be when you're stuck in traffic and someone cuts you off. It might be when a coworker criticizes your work. It might be when your child doesn't listen. Pay attention to your body in those moments. Feel the tightness in your chest, the quickening of your heartbeat, the rush of irritation. That is your body's way of telling you that you're reacting. Now pause. That pause is your first victory. Because in that pause you begin to create space. And in that space, you gain the ability to choose. You see, the human brain is wired to respond to threats. Thousands of years ago, that response kept us alive. But today, most of what we face are not life-threatening situations. They are inconveniences, challenges, and setbacks. If you react to every one of them as if it were danger, you drain your energy and weaken your mind. Instead, you must reprogram your brain to recognize that most situations are simply opportunities to choose your response. The question is not, what is happening to me? The question is, how will I decide to respond to what's happening? This is not just positive thinking, this is training. Every day, you train your brain by the way you respond to small events. If you give in to anger, you strengthen anger. If you give in to fear, you strengthen fear. But if you practice patience, you strengthen patience. If you practice calm, you strengthen calm. Your brain is like a muscle, and the more you use it in one direction, the stronger that direction becomes. So when you choose deliberately, you are not only handling the present moment, you are shaping the future of your mind. Let's take an example. Imagine you are at work, and someone interrupts you with harsh words. The natural reaction is to snap back or feel hurt. But you stop yourself. You breathe. You think, what outcome do I want from this moment? Instead of reacting, you choose. You might choose silence. You might choose to respond with clarity. You might choose to walk away. In any case, you are no longer a puppet of your emotions. You are the master of your choices. And with every choice, you gain strength. It is not easy in the beginning. Your old patterns will try to pull you back. Years of reacting will not disappear overnight. But you can start small. Each morning, before your day begins, tell yourself, today, I will choose how I respond. This sets your intention. Then throughout the day, notice your moments of reaction. Pause, reflect, decide. At night, review your day. Where did you react? Where did you choose? Celebrate the progress, however small. This practice, repeated daily, begins to reprogram your brain. The science of habit shows us that repetition creates pathways in the brain. Every time you choose rather than react, you are carving a new pathway. Over time, your brain begins to default to choice rather than reaction. That is freedom. That is power. You are no longer a prisoner of your impulses. You are the director of your life. Now let's talk about the deeper psychology. When you react, it is usually because an old belief or fear is triggered. Maybe you believe you are not respected, so criticism hurts deeply. Maybe you fear failure, so every challenge makes you anxious. By pausing and choosing, you begin to see those beliefs. You recognize that they are not truth, they are patterns, and patterns can be changed. When you choose a new response, you send a message to your subconscious. I am in control. I decide who I am. Over time, that message becomes stronger than the old beliefs. There is also an emotional reward. When you react, you often feel regret afterward. You wish you had stayed calm. You wish you had said less. You wish you had chosen better. But when you stop and choose, you feel a deep sense of pride. That pride builds confidence. You realize you are capable of self-mastery. That realization alone can transform your life. Because if you can control your mind, there is little you cannot achieve. Think about how this applies in different areas of life. In relationships, choosing rather than reacting prevents unnecessary fights and builds respect. In work, it helps you stay focused under pressure and earn trust. In personal growth, it keeps you steady when things don't go your way. In health, it helps you resist harmful habits and choose what is best for your body. In every area, the ability to choose is the foundation of strength. One of the greatest lessons in life is that events are neutral until you give them meaning. The meaning you give comes from your choice of response. For example, losing a job could mean despair, or it could mean a chance to grow. Someone ignoring your message could mean rejection, or it could mean they are simply busy. It is not the event, it is your interpretation, and your interpretation is always your choice. So how do you build this power? Practically. Begin with 3 steps. First, practice awareness. Carry a small notebook or use your phone. Each time you notice yourself reacting, write it down. This builds recognition. Second, practice pausing. When you feel the urge to react, count to 5, take a deep breath, and let the wave of emotion pass. Third, practice choosing. Ask yourself, what is the best response for my growth, for my peace, and for my long-term success? Then act on that. Awareness, pause, choice. This is the cycle of reprogramming. Over weeks and months you will notice changes. The things that once triggered you will no longer have the same power. You will find yourself calmer in situations that used to disturb you. You will feel more control in conversations that used to overwhelm you. People will notice the difference in your presence. They will sense your steadiness, and most importantly, you will notice a new level of inner strength. Remember, your brain is not fixed. It is always learning, always adapting. If you train it to react, it will react. If you train it to choose, it will choose. You are the trainer. You are the one who sets the program, and this is a program worth writing. A program of clarity, of control, of conscious living. The world is unpredictable. You cannot control everything that happens, but you can always control your mind, and that control makes all the difference. Because when you can choose, you can direct your life toward growth instead of regret, toward peace instead of chaos, toward strength instead of weakness. That is how you outsmart any situation. Not by changing the world, but by training your brain. Every time you face a difficult moment, remember this truth. Your reaction is not your destiny. You are not your impulses. You are not your fears. You are the one who decides. That decision is your freedom. That decision is your strength. And the more you practice it, the more unshakable you become. So today, take this challenge. Reprogram your brain to stop reacting and start choosing. Train yourself to be aware. Train yourself to pause. Train yourself to choose. Each choice is a step toward mastery. Each choice is a declaration of freedom. And over time, those choices will build a life of resilience, clarity and strength. When you own your mind, you own your future, and that is how you train your brain to outsmart any situation. Chapter 2. Strengthen self-awareness to master your daily mental battles. The greatest battle you will ever fight is the one inside your own mind. Each day your thoughts, your emotions and your habits are constantly influencing the decisions you make. If you want to win that battle, if you want to create a stronger version of yourself, you must first develop self-awareness. Without self-awareness, you move through life on autopilot, unaware of why you think the way you do or why you respond the way you respond. With self-awareness, you shine a light on your patterns. You see yourself clearly, and you gain the power to take control of your life instead of being controlled by it. Strengthening self-awareness is not about judging yourself or criticizing your flaws. It is about becoming a careful observer of your own mind. When you watch yourself closely, you begin to notice the subtle ways your thoughts shape your mood and your choices. For example, notice how one negative thought in the morning can spread into your whole day. If you wake up and immediately think, "I am tired and I don't want to face today," that thought begins to control your energy. But if you are aware enough to catch it, you can challenge it, replace it, and change the direction of your entire day. That is the power of awareness. It gives you the ability to interrupt the automatic cycle. Most people never examine their thinking. They just assume their thoughts are true. They believe every fear, every doubt, every limitation without question. But once you start paying attention, you see that many of your thoughts are just old programming. They come from past experiences, other people's opinions, or habits you never questioned. The moment you become aware of them, you gain freedom. You realize you don't have to believe everything your mind tells you. You can choose to direct your thoughts instead of being directed by them. Strengthening self-awareness requires you to slow down. In a fast world, it is easy to rush from one task to another without ever pausing to ask yourself what you are feeling, what you are thinking, and why you are acting the way you are. When you slow down, even for a few minutes a day, you begin to notice the voice in your head. That voice can be encouraging, but often it is critical, anxious, or doubtful. When you pay attention, you can decide whether to listen to it or to redirect it. Without awareness, that voice controls you. With awareness, you control it. One of the simplest ways to build awareness is reflection. At the end of each day, ask yourself, what did I think about most today? How did those thoughts affect my actions? Did I act in alignment with the person I want to be? These simple questions pull you out of autopilot and force you to look at your day with clarity. Over time, you begin to see patterns. Maybe you notice that criticism always throws you off. Maybe you notice that you waste energy worrying about things you cannot control. Once you see the pattern, you can work on changing it. Without that awareness, you remain stuck repeating the same battles. Another powerful practice is writing your thoughts down. When you write, you take what is invisible inside your mind and make it visible on paper. This gives you perspective. You might notice that the fear that felt so heavy in your head looks smaller when you write it down. You might realize that the worry you carried all day was just a story you kept repeating to yourself. Writing creates distance between you and your thoughts. It allows you to step back and observe. That observation is where awareness grows. Strengthening self-awareness is also about noticing your emotions in real time. When anger rises, when sadness creeps in, when anxiety takes over, don't run from it and don't bury it. Pause and say to yourself, this is anger, this is sadness, this is fear. By naming your emotion, you create space between yourself and the feeling. You remind yourself that emotions are signals, not commands. They come and they go, but they don't have to control your actions. That simple awareness is the difference between reacting blindly and responding wisely. You also need to be aware of your environment. The people you spend time with, the information you consume, and the places you go all shape your mental state. If you surround yourself with constant negativity, your mind will absorb it. If you fill your day with distractions, your focus will weaken. Awareness means asking, what influences am I allowing into my life? Are they helping me grow or holding me back? Many battles are lost not because of inner weakness, but because of unnoticed external influence. When you strengthen awareness of your environment, you reclaim control over your mental space. A key part of self-awareness is identifying your triggers. Everyone has triggers, situations or words that quickly lead to frustration, insecurity or discouragement. Without awareness, triggers control you. With awareness, you prepare for them. You begin to say, when this situation happens, I know I usually react this way, but now I will choose differently. That preparation builds resilience. It turns weakness into strength. Triggers are no longer traps, they become opportunities to practice control. Awareness also requires honesty. You must be willing to look at yourself without excuses. If you are lazy, admit it. If you procrastinate, admit it. If you allow fear to stop you, admit it. Only when you tell yourself the truth can you begin to change. Too many people hide from their own weaknesses. They blame others. They deny reality. They make excuses. But growth begins the moment you decide to see yourself clearly. Awareness without honesty is just avoid. Awareness with honesty is transformation. To strengthen self-awareness, practice mindfulness during the ordinary moments of the day. When you are eating, notice the taste and the texture. When you are walking, notice your breath and your step. When you are talking to someone, listen fully, without thinking about your reply. These small practices train your brain to be present. And the more present you are, the more aware you become of your thoughts and behaviors. Awareness does not always require hours of meditation. It can be built through small acts of paying attention to the present moment. Awareness also gives you power over your decisions. Every choice you make, from what you eat to how you spend your time, is influenced by your level of awareness. If you eat without awareness, you overeat. If you spend without awareness, you waste money. If you speak without awareness, you hurt others. But if you are aware, you pause before acting. You ask, is this in line with my values? Is this moving me closer to my goal? Awareness slows you down enough to make choices with intention, instead of impulse. That is how you win the daily battles, by choosing consciously, not reacting unconsciously. Building awareness is not just about noticing your weaknesses. It is also about recognizing your strength. When you become aware of the qualities that make you unique, you gain confidence. You see the times when you were disciplined, when you were patient, when you were courageous. You remind yourself that you are capable of more than your fears suggest. Self-awareness is not only about correction, it is also about appreciation. The more you notice your strengths, the more you reinforce them. Strengthening awareness will also improve your relationship. When you are aware of your tone of voice, your body language, and your emotional state, you communicate better. You notice when you are being harsh and you soften your words. You notice when you are distracted and you bring yourself back to the conversation. People feel the difference. They feel heard, respected, and valued. Many conflicts are not caused by malice, but by lack of awareness. Strengthening awareness creates stronger connections with others. Awareness turns every day into a classroom. Every conversation, every challenge, every mistake becomes an opportunity to learn about yourself. Instead of blaming others or complaining about circumstances, you ask, what does this moment teach me about myself? That question is powerful. It shifts your focus from what you cannot control to what you can always control: your own growth. With that mindset, no day is wasted. Every day makes you stronger. The daily battles of the mind will never fully disappear. Fear will arise. Doubt will whisper. Temptation will appear. But with strong self-awareness, you see them for what they are. They are not who you are. They are just passing states of mind. You can observe them, learn from them, and let them go. That is the essence of self-mastery. Not eliminating struggles, but learning to face them with clarity and strength. So commit yourself to building this skill. Pay attention to your thoughts. Notice your emotions. Reflect on your day. Write down your patterns. Be honest about your weaknesses. Celebrate your strength. Stay present in the ordinary moments. Question your environment and your influences. Identify your triggers. And most importantly, use that awareness to make conscious choices. The more you practice, the stronger you become. One day, you will look back and realize that the battles that once consumed you no longer have the same grip. The fears that once held you back have lost their power. The doubts that once filled your mind now pass by quickly, and the choices you make are no longer random. They are deliberate, intentional, and aligned with the person you want to become. Strengthening self-awareness is not a one-time event. It is a lifelong practice, but it is the foundation of every change you will ever make, because until you are aware, you cannot improve. And once you are aware, you can improve every single day. When you master awareness, you master the battlefield of the mind. And when you master that battlefield, you hold the key to mastering your life. Chapter 3. Challenge old beliefs to unlock sharper and freer thinking. Most people live their lives carrying beliefs they never once examined. They accept ideas handed down by family, teachers, culture, and society, and they live by them as if they are absolute truth. But the reality is that many of these beliefs were formed when we were children, shaped by experiences we did not fully understand, or influenced by people who themselves were limited in perspective. Those old beliefs, left unchallenged, become invisible walls in the mind. They restrict how you see yourself, what you believe is possible, and how far you are willing to go. If you want sharper and freer thinking, you must challenge those old beliefs and replace them with ideas that match the life you want to create. Think about the beliefs you have about success. Some people believe success is only for the lucky. Others believe they are not talented enough or not smart enough to achieve something meaningful. Where did those beliefs come from? Perhaps they heard it from someone they admired, or maybe they failed once and convinced themselves it defined them forever. Yet when you stop and examine these thoughts, you realize they are not laws of nature. They are conclusions made long ago, often without evidence, and yet they quietly control the decisions of your present. One of the most powerful exercises you can do is to take one of your long-held beliefs and ask yourself a simple question. Is this absolutely true? If you believe you are not good with people, ask yourself, is that fact or is it just a story? If you believe you are too old to start something new, is that reality, or is it just an assumption? When you hold your beliefs up to the light of questioning, many of them begin to weaken. They no longer seem unshakable. They begin to look like habits of thought rather than truths. Challenging old beliefs takes courage, because beliefs give us comfort. They make the world feel predictable. Even if the belief is negative, it still feels safe, because it is familiar. To break free from them means to step into uncertainty, and uncertainty is uncomfortable. But discomfort is the very signal that growth is happening. If you want your thinking to sharpen, if you want your mind to expand, you must be willing to feel that discomfort and keep pushing through. The brain is designed to seek consistency. Once you form a belief, your mind automatically looks for evidence to support it. If you believe you are bad at speaking, you will notice every mistake when you talk, and you will ignore the moments you spoke well. This is how beliefs strengthen themselves. But once you challenge them, you begin to notice the opposite evidence. You realize you actually spoke with confidence in some situations. You realize you have learned new skills before and can learn again. And suddenly, the old belief begins to crack. This is the moment when sharper thinking emerges. Without the filter of old beliefs, you see more possibilities. You see yourself as capable of change. You see opportunities where before you saw barriers. A freer mind is not one that clings to certainty. It is one that stays open to new ways of seeing. When you live with that openness, you gain the flexibility to adapt, to learn, and to grow in ways you never imagined. Another important step is to examine beliefs you inherited from others. Did your parents teach you that money is scarce and difficult to earn? Did a teacher tell you that you would never be successful? Did a friend convince you that relationships always end in failure? These beliefs may not even be yours, yet you carry them as if they define you. To unlock freer thinking, you must separate your own experience from the voices of others. Ask yourself, whose belief is this? Do I want to continue living by it? You have the right to release what no longer serves you. When you remove limiting beliefs, you also make room for empowering ones. A sharp and free mind does not live in emptiness. It lives by conscious principles that support growth. For example, instead of believing that failure means you are not good enough, adopt the belief that failure is feedback. Instead of believing you are too old to change, adopt the belief that every stage of life has potential. Instead of believing opportunities are rare, adopt the belief that opportunities are everywhere for those who prepare. The quality of your beliefs shapes the quality of your life. Daily practice is essential. Notice when you speak negatively about yourself. Words like "I can't," "I'm not good at," or "I'll never" reveal the beliefs you hold. Each time you hear yourself say these words, pause and challenge them. Ask, who told me this? What evidence do I have? Could there be another possibility? In that simple practice, you train your brain to question rather than accept. Questioning is the foundation of sharper thinking. There is also a connection between beliefs and emotions. Old beliefs often generate automatic emotional responses. For example, if you believe you are not worthy, you will feel shame in situations where no shame is necessary. If you believe the world is unsafe, you will feel fear even when no danger is present. By challenging those beliefs, you change your emotional landscape. You no longer feel trapped by unnecessary fear or shame, because the foundation of those emotions, your belief, has shifted. To create real transformation, you must also act against your old beliefs. Action solidifies new thinking. If you believe you cannot learn new skills, sign up for a class and prove to yourself that you can. If you believe you cannot speak in public, volunteer for a small presentation and experience your own growth. Each time you take action against your old belief, you weaken its grip and replace it with evidence of your strength. Thinking sharpens not only through reflection, but through courageous action. Beliefs also influence how you see others. If you believe people are untrustworthy, you will approach every relationship with suspicion. If you believe people are selfish, you will miss the kindness around you. These beliefs distort your perception of reality. By challenging them, you open yourself to deeper, more fulfilling connection. You realize that not everyone fits into the box your old belief created. This openness makes your relationships freer, and it makes your mind sharper because you no longer generalize unfairly. The goal of challenging old beliefs is not to throw away every idea you have ever had. It is to become conscious of which ones help you and which ones hold you back. Keep the beliefs that encourage growth, courage, kindness, and persistence. Let go of the ones that limit, discourage, or weaken you. When you do this, you clear mental space. You create a mind that is lean, focused, and capable of sharp insight. A powerful way to strengthen this practice is through new experiences. Old beliefs survive because they go untested. If you believe you cannot travel alone, but you never try, that belief remains unchallenged. If you believe you cannot change careers, but you never take steps toward it, that belief stays alive. But when you expose yourself to new situations, you confront your beliefs directly. You prove to yourself that they were never absent. The more you expose yourself to new experiences, the more flexible and open your thinking becomes. Self-reflection, writing, questioning, action, and new experiences, together, these practices create a cycle of growth. Each time you challenge an old belief, you replace it with a stronger one. Each time you adopt a stronger belief, you unlock more of your potential. Over time, your mind becomes sharper because it is no longer weighed down by outdated rules. It becomes freer because it is no longer trapped in narrow patterns. Remember, a belief is nothing more than a repeated thought you accepted as truth. If you can accept it once, you can challenge it again. If you can replace one limiting belief with one empowering belief, you can do it many times. This is not about becoming someone else. It is about removing the blocks that prevent you from being who you truly are. Your authentic self is always sharper and freer than the self shaped by fear and limitation. As you continue this journey, you will notice that your decisions change. You will pursue opportunities you once avoided. You will speak up in situations where you once stayed silent. You will take risks you once thought were impossible. And each time you do, your confidence grows. Confidence is not built on pretending you have no doubt. It is built on the daily practice of challenging those doubts and moving forward anyway. The freedom you gain from this process is not just mental. It is emotional and spiritual as well. You begin to live with a sense of possibility. You no longer carry the weight of other people's expectations or the burden of past mistakes. You live from a place of choice, not constraint. That is what it means to unlock sharper and freer thinking. It is not about thinking faster. It is about thinking without chains. So decide today to take inventory of your beliefs. Write them down. Look at each one honestly. Ask yourself which ones serve you and which ones limit you. Commit to challenging at least one belief each week. Replace it with one that empowers you. Take action to prove it true. Keep repeating this process until your mind becomes a place of strength, clarity, and openness. The life you are capable of creating depends not on what you know right now, but on what you believe about yourself and the world. Challenge the beliefs that tell you no. Strengthen the beliefs that tell you yes. Free yourself from the past and create space for the future. When you do this, your thinking will not only become sharper, it will become free. And with a sharp and free mind, there is no limit to what you can achieve. Chapter 4. Train your attention to resist distractions and control impulses. Attention is one of the most valuable assets you have, yet in today's world it is constantly under attack. Notifications, advertisements, endless messages, and quick entertainment pull pull your focus in 100 directions. At the same time, impulses within your own mind push you to give in to distractions, even when you know they waste your energy. If you want to live with clarity, productivity, and control, you must train your attention the same way you train a muscle. Without this training, you drift through your day, reacting to every distraction. With it, you gain the strength to resist what does not serve you and the discipline to focus on what truly matters. The first step is to realize how scattered attention weakens your life. Every time you check your phone without reason, every time you jump between tasks, every time you give in to an urge, you drain your mental energy. Studies show that it takes several minutes to regain full concentration after even a short interruption. That means when you allow distractions to take over, you are not only losing moments, you are losing depth, momentum, and clarity. Life is not measured in seconds, but in focus, and the ability to sustain attention determines how much you achieve and how deeply you experience the present. Training your attention begins with awareness of your habits. Pay close attention to when and how you lose focus. Notice the urge to scroll endlessly, the temptation to open another tab, or the impulse to avoid discomfort by distracting yourself. Each of these moments reveals where your attention escapes. Once you recognize the patterns, you can begin to interrupt them. Awareness is the foundation of all change. You cannot resist distractions if you are blind to how they control you. Once you notice, the next step is to create deliberate boundaries. Your environment should support your focus rather than sabotage it. Silence unnecessary notifications. Place your phone away from your reach when you are working. Organize your space so that the things you need are visible and the things that distract you are hidden. Your brain takes cues from your surroundings. A cluttered environment leads to a cluttered mind. A simplified environment allows for deeper focus. By shaping your environment, you remove the triggers that make distraction so easy. Controlling impulses requires another level of discipline. Distractions are external, but impulses are internal. The sudden desire to check your phone, the craving for junk food, the urge to avoid a difficult task, these are impulses. Left unchecked, they control your behavior. To resist them, you must build the skill of pause. When an impulse arises, do not act immediately. Take a breath. Count slowly. Ask yourself, will giving in to this urge help me or harm me? That small pause breaks the automatic loop between impulse and action. In that gap, you find freedom. Attention is like a spotlight. Wherever you direct it, that area of your life grows. If you direct it toward problems, your problems expand. If you direct it toward opportunities, your opportunities expand. The challenge is that distractions are designed to capture that spotlight. Social media, news, entertainment, they all compete for your attention because it is valuable. When you train your brain to choose where to place your spotlight, you reclaim your power. You decide what deserves your energy. You decide what grows in your life. A practical way to strengthen attention is through single tasking. Most people pride themselves on multitasking, but multitasking is an illusion. You are not doing many things at once. You are rapidly switching between tasks and weakening your focus with each switch. Instead, choose one task and give it your full attention until it is complete. Start with small tasks. Finish one email before starting another. Read one article before opening another tab. Over time, extend your focus to larger projects. Each time you complete a task without distraction, you reinforce your brain's ability to stay present. Impulse control can also be trained through delayed gratification. Whenever you feel the pull to indulge immediately, practice waiting. If you crave a snack, wait 10 minutes before eating. If you want to check your phone, wait 5 minutes before picking it up. These small acts of waiting strengthen your ability to resist. You are teaching your brain that urges are not commands. They are simply suggestions that you can choose to ignore. Over time, your tolerance grows and impulses lose their power over you. Another valuable practice is intentional breaks. Focus does not mean forcing your mind to work endlessly without rest. In fact, pushing too hard leads to burnout and makes distraction more tempting. Instead, schedule short breaks where you step away, move your body or relax your mind. During those breaks, allow yourself to recharge fully, but do not let the break bleed into endless distraction. Structure keeps freedom in balance. Train your brain to know that work time is for focus and break time is for rest. That separation increases your control. Attention training also requires you to develop presence in daily life. When you eat, focus on eating without scrolling or watching. When you speak with someone, give them your full attention without planning your response. When you walk, notice the rhythm of your steps and the sounds around you. Presence is practice for attention. It trains your brain to stay with one experience, rather than constantly chasing the next stimulation. The more present you are, the less vulnerable you become to distractions. Impulse control benefits greatly from self-reflection. At the end of each day, think back on the moments when you gave in to distractions or urges. Ask yourself, why did I lose control here? Was I tired, bored, stressed, or seeking comfort? By identifying the emotion behind the impulse, you weaken its grip. Often impulses are not about the urge itself, but about avoiding discomfort. Awareness of the root cause allows you to address the real issue instead of numbing it with distraction. Long-term attention training requires a clear vision. If you do not know what matters to you, distractions will always win. When your goals are vague, every shiny object seems attractive. But when you are clear on your priorities, saying no becomes easier. Ask yourself, what do I want most in this season of my life? What activities, habits, and tasks bring me closer to it? Then align your focus with those answers. Clarity cuts through distraction. A strong why strengthens your ability to resist impulses. It is also important to celebrate small victories. Each time you resist a distraction, acknowledge it. Each time you choose focus over impulse, give yourself credit. These victories may seem small, but they accumulate into stronger discipline. The human brain responds to rewards. By celebrating progress, you make the process enjoyable. And when it is enjoyable, you are more likely to stay consistent. Consistency is what rewires your brain for lasting attention control. Discipline is not about perfection. You will still get distracted at times. You will still give in to impulses occasionally. The goal is not to eliminate every slip. It is to reduce them, learn from them, and build greater strength with each challenge. Each moment of distraction is not failure. It is training. It gives you another chance to practice awareness, pause and control. When you view it this way, even setbacks become opportunities for growth. Training attention is a lifelong process, not a quick fix. The world will only get noisier. Technology will only demand more of your focus. But when you build this skill, you carry within you the power to stay grounded and intentional no matter the external chaos. You no longer chase every distraction. You choose what matters. You no longer surrender to every impulse. You decide when and how to act. That is true freedom. Imagine how your life changes when you master this. Your work becomes deeper because you give it undivided attention. Your relationships become richer because you truly listen. Your health improves because you resist unhealthy impulses. Your confidence grows because you know you can direct your energy. Every area of your life improves when you take back control of your focus. To begin this journey, commit to one practice today. It could be working for 30 minutes without checking your phone. It could be waiting 5 minutes before giving in to an impulse. It could be eating one meal without any distractions. Choose one and do it consistently. Over time, add more. Like building muscle, progress comes from repetition. The more you practice, the stronger you become. At the heart of this training is a simple truth. Distractions and impulses will always exist, but they do not have to own you. You have the capacity to notice them, resist them, and redirect your energy. You can train your brain to hold attention where it matters most, and when you do, you unlock a level of power and freedom that few people ever experience. Attention is your currency. Spend it wisely. Impulses are your tests. Pass them with discipline. Distractions are your obstacles. Overcome them with clarity. This is how you train your attention to resist distractions and control impulses. This is how you build a life of focus, strength, and purpose. And once you master this, you hold in your hands one of the greatest advantages any person can ever have, the ability to direct your mind instead of letting the world direct it for you. Chapter 5. Build emotional flexibility to handle unpredictable life pressures. Life does not follow a fixed plan. No matter how carefully you prepare, you will face days when pressure builds, when situations shift suddenly, and when challenges arrive without warning. In those moments, your strength does not come from rigid control. It comes from emotional flexibility, the ability to bend without breaking, to adapt without losing yourself, and to handle pressure without being consumed by it. Building emotional flexibility is one of the most important skills you can ever develop, because it allows you to move through unpredictable times with balance, clarity, and strength. Emotional flexibility starts with accepting that uncertainty is part of life. Many people create unnecessary suffering by expecting everything to go smoothly. When things don't follow their expectations, they resist, complain, and fight against reality. But flexibility begins when you stop demanding that life should be easy and instead decide that you will handle life as it is. This shift gives you resilience. Instead of being thrown off by every change, you face change as something natural. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and you start asking, "How can I adjust and move forward?" Another step in building this flexibility is becoming aware of how you respond under pressure. Some people collapse into worry, others lash out in anger. Some withdraw and hide. None of these responses are wrong. They are simply habits. Emotional flexibility means being able to notice your automatic reaction and then decide if that reaction is useful. If it is not, you have the power to choose another. That choice is the beginning of control. It is not about denying what you feel. It is about learning to shift, to pivot, and to adjust your emotional state in a way that serves the situation. One practical way to train emotional flexibility is by practicing perspective shifting. When a challenge appears, instead of being stuck in one interpretation, ask yourself, what are 3 different ways I could look at this? For example, losing an opportunity could be viewed as rejection, but it could also be viewed as redirection or protection from something not right for you. This simple exercise expands your thinking. It prevents you from locking into one painful interpretation and allows you to see choices where before you saw only limitation. The more perspectives you practice, the more flexible your emotions become. Flexibility also requires you to manage pressure in your body. When stress rises, your heart beats faster, your breathing becomes shallow, and your muscles tighten. If you ignore these signals, emotions take over. But if you train yourself to notice them early, you can calm your body before pressure explodes. Deep breathing, slow movement, and grounding exercises send signals back to your nervous system that you are safe. Once your body is calm, your emotions follow. By learning to regulate your body under stress, you strengthen your emotional adaptability. Emotional flexibility is not about suppressing feelings. Suppression only pushes emotions deeper, where they grow stronger. Flexibility means allowing yourself to feel without being controlled by the feeling. For example, if fear rises, acknowledge it. I feel afraid right now. Then ask yourself, what action can I take even with this fear? That is flexibility, recognizing the emotion but refusing to let it dictate your choices. Over time, this practice teaches your mind that emotions are temporary signals, not permanent states. You learn to move with them instead of being trapped in them. A flexible person also understands the difference between what can and cannot be controlled. Many people waste emotional energy trying to control outcomes beyond their reach. They want others to act differently. They want circumstances to unfold perfectly. And they exhaust themselves resisting what is outside their influence. Emotional flexibility comes from shifting that focus inward. You ask, what is within my control right now, and you direct your energy there. This gives you a sense of power even in difficult situations, because you always have control over your effort, your attitude, and your response. Training flexibility also requires you to build tolerance for discomfort. Life will test you with pressure, deadlines, conflicts, losses, setbacks. If you avoid discomfort, you weaken your ability to cope. But if you expose yourself to it in small, intentional ways, you grow stronger. Practice sitting with difficult feelings without rushing to escape them. Practice staying calm when plans fall apart. Each time you do, you stretch your emotional capacity. Over time, pressure that once felt overwhelming begins to feel manageable. Discomfort becomes a teacher rather than an enemy. Relationships are one of the greatest arenas for practicing emotional flexibility. People will disappoint you, misunderstand you, and challenge your patience. If you are rigid, you demand that they always meet your expectations, and when they don't, you break. If you are flexible, you recognize that others are imperfect just as you are. You learn to adjust your communication, to compromise without losing your values, and to see things from their perspective. This flexibility strengthens connection. It allows you to maintain peace and respect even when disagreements arise. Another dimension of flexibility is learning to recover quickly. Everyone experiences emotional setbacks, moments of anger, sadness, or frustration. What separates strong individuals is not that they never feel these emotions, but that they do not stay stuck in them. When you are emotionally flexible, you bounce back faster. You ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What can I do next? And you move forward. This recovery skill is vital because it prevents one difficult moment from turning into an entire wasted day. Flexibility also means being open to changing your mind. Many people cling to their opinions out of pride, even when those opinions no longer serve them. Emotional flexibility allows you to say, I was wrong, or I see it differently now. This openness is not weakness, it is strength. It shows that you value growth over ego. It frees you from the prison of stubbornness and keeps your mind sharp and adaptable. To build emotional flexibility, it is important to practice daily habits that strengthen your inner foundation. Start your morning by checking in with yourself. What am I feeling right now? What energy do I want to carry into the day? Throughout the day, pause regularly to notice your state. If you feel tight or stressed, reset with a breath. At night, reflect on how you handled pressure. Ask yourself, did I react rigidly or did I adapt? This daily practice builds awareness, and awareness builds flexibility. One of the most powerful tools for emotional flexibility is gratitude. When life is unpredictable, gratitude anchors you in what is still good. Even under pressure, you can find reasons to be thankful. A supportive friend, a small victory, or simply the chance to begin again tomorrow. Gratitude does not remove difficulty, but it softens the weight of it. It shifts your focus from what is missing to what is present, and that shift opens emotional space for resilience. Flexibility also grows through intentional challenges. Place yourself in situations that stretch you. Speak in front of others even if it scares you. Learn a new skill even if you feel unprepared. Travel somewhere unfamiliar and adapt to new environments. Each challenge teaches you how to handle unpredictability. Instead of breaking down under pressure, you learn to bend, adjust, and keep moving. These experiences build a bank of confidence you can draw from in future challenges. It is important to remember that emotional flexibility does not mean passivity. It does not mean accepting mistreatment or giving up on standards. It means knowing when to hold firm and when to adapt. It means being strong without being rigid. Like a tree that sways in the wind yet stands rooted. Flexibility allows you to face storms without snapping. This balance between strength and adaptability is what creates real resilience. As you continue to practice, you will notice a calm confidence growing in you. Unexpected situations will still arrive, but instead of panic, you will feel ready. You will know that no matter what comes, you have the capacity to handle it. That knowledge changes everything. It reduces fear of the unknown and replaces it with trust in your ability to adapt. You stop resisting the unpredictable, and you start moving with it. Life's pressures will never disappear. The demands, the uncertainties, the sudden challenges, they are part of the human journey. But with emotional flexibility, you stop being crushed by them. You learn to face them with steadiness, to adjust with wisdom, and to continue forward with strength. This skill will serve you in your career, your relationships, your health, and your growth. It is not just a tool for survival, it is a foundation for thriving. So decide today to train this capacity. Accept that unpredictability is part of life. Observe your reactions under pressure. Practice perspective shifting. Regulate your body through calm breathing. Choose what is within your control. Build tolerance for discomfort. Stay flexible in relationships. Recover quickly from setbacks. Be willing to change your mind. Practice daily awareness and gratitude. Challenge yourself intentionally. And remember that flexibility is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength. When you build emotional flexibility, you gain a powerful advantage. You stop being thrown off course by every storm. You move with life instead of against, and you discover a deeper sense of freedom, because no matter what pressures appear, you know you can adapt and rise above them. That is the gift of emotional flexibility, the ability to remain steady in an unsteady world, the ability to live with strength even when life is unpredictable, and the ability to carry peace within you no matter what happens around you. Chapter 6. Use mental reframing to turn obstacles into real opportunities. Every life is filled with obstacles. Some are small annoyances, others are heavy challenges that shake your confidence and test your patience. Many people look at obstacles as barriers that stop them from moving forward, and as a result, they carry frustration, disappointment, or bitterness. But there is another way to see them. Mental reframing is the skill of changing the way you interpret obstacles so they become opportunities for growth, strength, and new direction. This ability does not come naturally, it requires training. But once you develop it, you transform the way you experience setbacks. Instead of being crushed by them, you use them to rise higher. Reframing begins with recognizing that an event is not the same as the meaning you attach to it. Two people can face the same difficulty and see it completely differently. One person loses a job and feels worthless. Another person loses a job and sees it as freedom to pursue something new. The event is the same, but the interpretation is different. That interpretation shapes emotions, and emotions shape actions. If you want to take control of your life, you must first take control of the meaning you give to events. This is where mental reframing comes in. It gives you the ability to step back and ask yourself, what else could this obstacle mean? What else could I learn here? How could this be useful to me? These questions open new perspectives. They stop you from locking into one negative story and allow you to see possibilities that were invisible before. The challenge itself does not change, but your relationship to it does, and that makes all the difference. Think about times in your life when something that seemed negative at first eventually turned into a benefit. Perhaps you faced rejection, but later realized it saved you from the wrong path. Perhaps you endured hardship, but later found it gave you resilience you never knew you had. These experiences prove that obstacles are not absolute. They can be reframed. The goal is to learn to do it in the moment instead of only seeing it years later. To train this, start by catching your first interpretation of an obstacle. Maybe you think, this is unfair, or this will ruin everything. Write that thought down, then ask yourself, is this the only way to see it? What could be another interpretation that gives me strength rather than weakness? At first, this might feel forced, but over time it becomes natural. You teach your brain to look for opportunity instead of despair. Reframing also involves shifting focus from what you have lost to what you can gain. If an opportunity closes, instead of dwelling on what is gone, focus on the skills you can develop, the lessons you can carry, and the new doors that may open. This shift of focus does not deny the difficulty, it acknowledges it while choosing to see beyond it. That choice protects your energy and keeps you moving forward instead of stuck in resentment. Obstacles often expose weaknesses, but reframing allows you to see those weaknesses as areas for growth. If you struggle with patience, challenges give you the chance to practice it. If you struggle with confidence, setbacks give you the chance to strengthen it. Every obstacle highlights something about yourself that you can improve. Instead of asking, why me? Ask, what can this teach me about myself? That question turns every problem into a lesson. It is also important to reframe obstacles in terms of time. In the heat of the moment, everything feels permanent. But if you step back and ask, will this matter a year from now? 5 years from now, you often realize the pressure is temporary. That perspective softens the weight of the situation and gives you courage to endure it. The obstacle loses its power to overwhelm because you remind yourself that time will carry you beyond it. Mental reframing is especially powerful when dealing with people. If someone criticizes you, you could see it as an attack, or you could reframe it as feedback that helps you grow. If someone betrays your trust, you could see it as devastation, or you could reframe it as a lesson in choosing relationships more wisely. This does not mean you excuse harmful behavior, but it means you choose to take something useful from it, instead of letting it poison your mind. To build this skill, practice with small daily inconveniences. If you are stuck in traffic, instead of fuming, reframe it as a chance to practice patience, or to listen to something educational. If you are waiting in a long line, instead of complaining, reframe it as a moment to slow down and breathe. These small acts of reframing train your brain so that when larger challenges come, you already have the habit of looking for opportunity. Reframing also requires honesty. It is not about pretending everything is perfect or ignoring pain. It is about seeing pain clearly and then choosing to use it rather than be consumed by it. For example, when facing illness, reframing might mean saying, this experience is teaching me to value health more deeply, or this is showing me the strength of my support system. The illness is still hard, but the meaning you give to it makes it bearable and even transformational. A sharp mind knows that obstacles often reveal hidden strength. When you are pushed into discomfort, you discover parts of yourself you never needed before. Reframing helps you notice those discoveries. You realize you are more resilient, more creative, and more determined than you thought. These qualities might never appear without the challenge. The obstacle becomes the mirror that shows you who you truly are. Another way to strengthen reframing is by asking better questions. Instead of asking, why did this happen? Ask, what can I do now? Instead of asking, what did I lose? Ask, what can I gain? Instead of asking, why is this so unfair? Ask, how can I use this to prepare for the future? Questions direct focus, and focus determines meaning. By choosing empowering questions, you shape empowering interpretations. Mental reframing also builds optimism, not blind optimism that ignores problems, but practical optimism that looks for solutions even in difficulty. When you train yourself to reframe obstacles, you create a mindset that expects growth. You expect to find something useful in every situation. That expectation becomes a self-fulfilling pattern. You no longer collapse under challenges because you trust that every obstacle holds a hidden gift if you are willing to look for it. This practice also reduces fear. Much of fear comes from the way we interpret challenges. If you see obstacles as threats, you live in anxiety. But if you see obstacles as opportunities, you feel energized. Instead of dreading change, you embrace it. Instead of fearing mistakes, you learn from them. Fear shrinks when you remind yourself that even in failure, there is something valuable to gain. Over time, reframing creates mental agility. Your mind becomes quick at adjusting. When plans change, you do not waste time resisting. You pivot. When setbacks occur, you do not lose confidence. You adapt. This agility gives you an advantage in life, because while others are frozen by difficulty, you are already finding new ways forward. You are no longer defined by circumstances. You are defined by your ability to interpret and use them. To truly master reframing, you must practice it consistently. Create a habit of writing down obstacles you face each week. For each one, write the first negative interpretation that comes to mind. Then force yourself to write at least 2 alternative interpretations that are empowering. Over time, this exercise rewires your brain. It teaches you that there is always more than one way to see a situation. And once you believe that, no obstacle can hold you the same way again. Reframing does not eliminate pain, but it gives pain a purpose. When you can attach meaning to suffering, it becomes bearable. When you can see growth in difficulty, it becomes worthwhile. The greatest leaders, thinkers, and achievers all share this ability. They do not see obstacles as punishment. They see them as part of the path, as essential tests that shape their character and sharpen their vision. That mindset is what allows them to keep moving when others quit. In your own life, you will face setbacks, losses, and failures. Some will feel heavy, others will feel unfair. But if you train yourself to reframe, you will always find a way through. You will not waste energy asking why life is hard. You will use that energy to turn difficulty into direction. That is the essence of opportunity, to see beyond the obstacle and into the growth it brings. So commit yourself to building this skill. Begin with small inconveniences, expand to larger challenges, and make it your habit to search for meaning in everything you face. Each time you reframe, you prove to yourself that you are not a victim of circumstances. You are the creator of meaning, and the one who creates meaning holds the real power. Obstacles will never disappear, but neither will opportunities. The difference lies in the lens you use to view them. Choose the lens of growth, of learning, of strength, and of possibility. Train your mind to see not only the struggle, but also the chance it brings. When you master this, you transform every obstacle into an ally, every setback into a step forward, and every difficulty into a tool for growth. That is the gift of mental reframing. The power to turn obstacles into real opportunities, and to live a life where nothing is wasted, because everything becomes fuel for your progress. Chapter 7. Develop psychological toughness to thrive when others give up. There comes a point in everyone's life where the weight of challenges feels heavier than expected. The pressure mounts, the setbacks multiply, and the easy path is to step back, to let go, and to surrender. Many do exactly that. They give up when things get too demanding. But those who rise above the ordinary share something different. They have developed psychological toughness, the ability to endure, to persist, and to thrive when others collapse. This toughness is not about pretending you don't feel pain or ignoring struggle. It is about building an inner strength that allows you to keep moving forward despite discomfort, fear, or fatigue. Psychological toughness begins with your relationship to adversity. Most people see adversity as something to avoid. They believe life should be smooth, and when it isn't, they panic. But tough individuals understand that struggle is part of progress. They expect obstacles, so when they arrive, they are not surprised. They accept hardship as the cost of growth. This mindset creates an advantage, because while others spend energy complaining about the difficulty, the tough individual uses that energy to adapt and persist. To thrive under pressure, you must first train your for stress. When challenges arrive, your mind and body react, your thoughts race, your emotions intensify, and your energy scatters. Without training, this storm consumes you. But when you build toughness, you learn to stand steady inside that storm. You acknowledge the pressure, but you don't collapse under it. You ground yourself, regulate your breathing, and remind yourself that discomfort is temporary. This ability to stay calm in chaos is one of the hallmarks of psychological toughness. Another crucial part of toughness is clarity of purpose. If you do not know why you are enduring hardship, you will not last long. A clear purpose fuels persistence. When others give up because the road is too hard, you continue because you know what you are working toward. Purpose turns pain into meaning. It transforms obstacles into stepping stones. Without purpose, every setback feels senseless. With purpose, every setback becomes part of the story you are building. Toughness also requires control over self-talk. The inner voice can either weaken you or strengthen you. When faced with difficulty, the weak voice says, "I can't do this, I'm too tired. It's too much." The tough voice says, "This is hard, but I can keep going. I've endured before and I will endure again." By deliberately shaping your inner dialogue, you train your brain to push through instead of quit. Words matter. The story you tell yourself in moments of struggle determines whether you stop or continue. Consistency is another foundation. Toughness is not built in one dramatic act of courage. It is built in the daily choice to keep showing up even when you don't feel like it. The repetition of discipline, waking early, sticking to commitments, practicing when you'd rather rest, creates resilience. Each small act strengthens your capacity to persist. Over time, this consistency hardens your resolve. You no longer rely on motivation alone. You rely on the strength of habit, which carries you through the days when motivation fades. Psychological toughness also comes from reframing failure. Most people see failure as a signal to stop. The tough see failure as information. They ask, "What did I learn? How can I improve?" And then they try again. This willingness to face failure repeatedly, without losing confidence, separates those who thrive from those who quit. Each failure becomes another layer of armor, making you stronger, wiser, and more resilient for the next challenge. Another key element is emotional regulation. Tough individuals do not allow anger, fear, or despair to dominate their actions. They feel these emotions, but they know how to manage them. They take a breath before reacting. They remind themselves of the bigger picture. They focus on what they can control instead of spiraling into panic. This control of emotions prevents wasted energy and keeps the mind sharp. The ability to stay emotionally steady under pressure is what allows them to make clear decisions when others are clouded by fear. Physical conditioning also plays a role. A strong body supports a strong mind. When you challenge your body through exercise, you teach your brain to endure discomfort. The burn of muscles, the weight of fatigue, the discipline of pushing past limits, all of these translate into mental toughness. The body and mind are connected. When you prove to yourself physically that you can push beyond comfort, you carry that confidence into every other area of life. Building psychological toughness also means facing reality with honesty. Many people weaken themselves by denying their struggles or pretending things are easier than they are. Toughness requires brutal honesty. You admit when something is hard, you acknowledge the setbacks, but instead of using honesty as an excuse to quit, you use it as a starting point for solution. Facing reality directly gives you the ability to plan, adjust, and act effectively. Denial weakens you, truth strengthens you. Support systems are another factor. Toughness is not about isolation. Even the strongest individuals need encouragement and accountability. Surrounding yourself with people who challenge you, who push you, and who remind you of your potential keeps you from slipping into weakness. The environment you build shapes your resilience. When others give up, they often do so alone. When you have the right people around you, you find the energy to keep going. Toughness is also tied to adaptability. When one path closes, you don't give up. You find another. The willingness to adjust strategy without abandoning the goal keeps you moving when others stop. Rigidity leads to collapse under pressure, but adaptability allows you to thrive. Tough individuals are not fixed in their approach. They bend, they pivot, and they innovate until they find a way forward. Courage is at the heart of psychological toughness. Courage does not mean you feel no fear. It means you move forward, despite fear. Each time you act in the face of fear, you prove to yourself that fear does not define you. Over time, courage becomes your default response. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You stop hesitating. You simply act, and action in the presence of fear is what builds true toughness. Another important piece is recovery. Thriving under pressure does not mean pushing endlessly without rest. It means knowing when to pause, recharge, and then return stronger. Toughness is sustainable because it balances effort with renewal. Those who push without recovery burn out and give up. Those who rest strategically preserve their strength and continue long after others have fallen away. Recovery is not weakness, it is a vital part of lasting resilience. Psychological toughness also requires patience. Many give up not because the challenge is too hard, but because it is taking too long. They want quick results. They want immediate gratification. The tough understand that meaningful achievements require time. They accept the long road. They measure progress in small steps and stay consistent. Patience gives them the endurance to continue where others lose faith. Identity is another critical layer. If you see yourself as fragile, you will act fragile. If you see yourself as resilient, you will act resilient. Psychological toughness grows when you begin to define yourself as someone who does not quit, as someone who can endure. This identity shapes your behavior. When challenges come, you remind yourself, this is who I am. I keep going. Identity anchors you when emotions tempt you to give up. Gratitude also plays a role in toughness. Even in difficulty, tough individuals focus on what remains, not only on what is lost. Gratitude fuels resilience by reminding you that even in hardship, there is still value, still strength, still opportunity. This perspective prevents despair and fuels determination. It is difficult to quit when you are grateful, because gratitude keeps your mind aligned with hope rather than defeat. Developing toughness takes deliberate practice. Seek out challenges instead of avoiding. Take on tasks that stretch you. Stay consistent when conditions are inconvenient. Embrace discomfort in controlled ways so you build tolerance. Each challenge you face willingly adds to your resilience. Over time, you develop a kind of inner armor, not one that makes you hard and unfeeling, but one that makes you strong and steady. In the end, psychological toughness is about refusing to surrender when it matters most. It is about thriving in the very moments when others step back. It is built through consistency, clarity, courage, adaptability and persistence. It is strengthened by honesty, recovery, patience, and gratitude. And it is fueled by the belief that you are capable of enduring more than you think. Life will continue to test you. It will present obstacles, setbacks, and moments where the path feels unbearable. In those times, others will give up. They will stop short of their potential, but you don't have to. You can choose to develop toughness. You can choose to keep going when it hurts, to stand strong when it's heavy, and to thrive under the very conditions that cause others to quit. That is psychological toughness, and once you build it, there is no challenge too great to stop you. Chapter 8. Break automatic patterns that keep you stuck in fear. Fear has a way of running the show when you don't even realize it. Most people believe fear only shows up in big moments, before a speech, in a crisis, during a major decision. But the truth is that fear creeps quietly into daily life. It hides inside the choices you avoid, the chances you don't take, and the excuses you repeat to yourself. What makes fear so powerful is not that it's loud, but that it becomes automatic. It turns into patterns of thinking and behaving that you repeat without question. These patterns keep you safe in the short term, but trapped in the long term. If you want to grow, succeed, and live fully, you must learn to break those automatic patterns and take back control of your mind. The first step is to see fear for what it really is. Fear is not always a roaring voice. Sometimes it's quiet avoidance. You tell yourself you'll try tomorrow. You tell yourself you're not ready yet. You stick with the familiar, not because it's fulfilling, but because it's comfortable. These are fear patterns. They operate beneath awareness, guiding your choices while you think you're simply being practical. The moment you notice them, you start breaking their grip. Awareness shines light on what has been hidden, and once something is seen, it can no longer control you the same way. Many fear patterns begin in childhood. You may have been told not to speak up, so now you avoid confrontation. You may have been criticized for mistakes, so now you hesitate to take risks. You may have been compared to others, so now you doubt your own abilities. These old experiences create beliefs, and those beliefs become automatic responses. When faced with new opportunities, the old programming whispers, "Don't try, don't risk, stay safe." If you never question that programming, it rules your life. But if you recognize it, you can rewrite it. You are not a prisoner of your past. You are the author of your present. To break automatic fear patterns, you must interrupt them in real time. Fear often follows a cycle. A thought appears, an emotion rises, and a behavior follows. For example, you think, "What if I fail?" Then you feel anxiety, and then you avoid the task. The cycle reinforces itself. Each time you avoid, the fear grows stronger. To break it, you must step in before it completes. When the fearful thought appears, pause, identify it. This is fear talking. When the emotion rises, acknowledge it without letting it drive you. When the urge to avoid comes, take a small action anyway. That action breaks the loop. It sends a signal to your brain that fear is not the master. One useful tool is questioning your fear. Fear often makes bold statements. "You can't handle this. People will laugh at you. You'll make a fool of yourself." Challenge those statements. Ask, "Is this absolutely true? What evidence do I have? What evidence exists against it?" Often you'll find that fear's predictions are exaggerated or baseless. The act of questioning weakens fear's authority. It reminds you that fear is just a thought, not a prophecy. Another strategy is exposure in small steps. Fear thrives on avoidance. The more you avoid, the stronger the pattern becomes. But when you face fear gradually, you retrain your mind. If you fear speaking up, start with one sentence in a meeting. If you fear rejection, practice starting a brief conversation with a stranger. Each step weakens the automatic pattern. Over time, the brain learns that what you feared is not as dangerous as it seemed. This process rewires your responses and gives you freedom. It's also important to replace old fear patterns with new empowering habits. When you feel fear, instead of retreating, create a ritual that signals courage. It could be a deep breath, a powerful statement to yourself, or a small physical action, like standing tall. Over time, your brain begins to associate fear not with withdrawal but with strength. You are teaching yourself a new pattern. When fear shows up, I step forward. Fear patterns are also tied to perfectionism. Many people stay stuck because they believe they must do things flawlessly. The automatic pattern becomes hesitation and endless preparation. To break it, embrace the idea of progress over perfection. Tell yourself, I don't need to be perfect. I just need to start. Action, even imperfect action, destroys fear patterns. Because once you're in motion, fear loses its grip. Visualization is another powerful technique. Fear often paints worst-case scenarios in your mind. You can use that same imagination to create different pictures. Visualize yourself succeeding. Visualize yourself handling difficulty calmly. Visualize yourself moving through fear and coming out stronger. The brain responds to imagined experiences almost as strongly as real ones. By rehearsing positive outcomes, you weaken fear's control and strengthen your belief in possibility. Breaking fear patterns also requires examining the language you use. Words shape reality. If you constantly say, I can't, I'm not ready, it's too risky, those phrases reinforce fear. Replace them with empowering language. I can try, I am learning, this is my chance. Over time, your words reshape your mindset, and your mindset reshapes your behavior. Strength grows. Your environment also matters. If you spend time with people who constantly express fear, doubt, and limitation, their patterns will reinforce yours. But if you surround yourself with people who act with courage, who push beyond comfort, and who believe in growth, their energy will influence you. Choose an environment that supports bravery rather than fear. Patterns are contagious. Make sure you are catching the right one. Another layer is forgiving yourself for past avoidance. Many people get stuck because they punish themselves for all the times they let fear win. This guilt becomes another automatic pattern. But toughness is not built by dwelling on the past. It is built by moving forward today. Forgive yourself for what you didn't do yesterday. Focus on what you can do now. Each present action has more power than endless regret. A powerful way to measure progress is to keep a fear journal. Each time fear shows up, write it down. Describe the situation, the thought you had, the emotion you felt, and the action you took. Over time, patterns will emerge. You'll see the triggers that spark your fear and the excuses you use most often. Once they are visible, they lose some of their power. You can prepare for them, challenge them, and replace them. This practice transforms fear from a vague shadow into something concrete you can manage. Breaking fear patterns also involves building resilience through repeated exposure to challenge. The more you prove to yourself that you can handle discomfort, the less fear can dictate your life. Each time you do something that once scared you, you collect evidence of your strength. That evidence builds confidence, and confidence is the antidote to automatic fear. Faith in your ability to adapt is another key element. Fear patterns convince you that you won't survive failure, embarrassment, or rejection. But when you remind yourself, I can adapt to whatever comes, you weaken because fear thrives on the idea of catastrophe. But if you trust your ability to adjust, there is no catastrophe, only challenge. That mindset gives you freedom to act without being paralyzed. Courage is built like a muscle. Every time you face fear instead of avoiding it, you add strength. Every small victory builds momentum. Over time, the automatic pattern shifts. Fear may still appear, but your response is no longer automatic avoidance. It becomes automatic courage. That is the transformation you are aiming for. Life will never be free of fear, but you don't need it to be. You only need to stop letting fear run the patterns of your life. Notice the thoughts, challenge the assumptions, take small steps, replace avoidance with action, and surround yourself with courage. With repetition, you create new patterns that support growth instead of limitation. When you break automatic fear patterns, you reclaim your freedom. You stop living by invisible rules. You stop letting old programming dictate your choices. You start creating your own path with conscious decision, and you discover that fear was never the real enemy. The real enemy was the habit of letting fear decide for you. Break the habit, and you break the chains. Once you do that, fear loses its hold, and your life opens wide with possibility. Chapter 9. Activate daily reflection to reshape thoughts and improve decisions. Most people live their days racing from one task to another without ever pausing to look back and ask themselves what really happened. They wake up, go through the motions, deal with problems, chase after goals, and fall asleep exhausted, only to repeat the same cycle tomorrow. Without reflection, days blur together. Mistakes get repeated. Lessons go unnoticed. Decisions are made in haste without ever asking if they align with values or long-term goals. But when you activate daily reflection, you break that cycle. You take time to look at your own mind, to study your actions, and to evaluate your choices. That practice reshapes the way you think and guides you to make better decisions, day after day. Daily reflection is not about judgment or criticism. It is not sitting in guilt about what went wrong. It is about honest observation. It is about looking at your day like a teacher reviewing a student's work, not with anger, but with the goal of improvement. You say to yourself, what went well, what could have gone better, what patterns do I see? This habit of self-study builds awareness, and awareness is the foundation for growth. Without it, you repeat the same errors unconsciously. With it, you gain the power to correct, adjust, and improve. Reflection gives your experiences meaning. You can live through dozens of events, conversations, and challenges, but if you don't pause to extract the lesson, those experiences are wasted. Think of how many days slip away without leaving behind wisdom. Now imagine if you captured one lesson every day. In a month you would have 30 lessons. In a year you would have hundreds. Over time those lessons compound, shaping a sharper mind and a wiser perspective. Daily reflection turns ordinary living into extraordinary growth. To reshape your thoughts, reflection helps you catch the automatic patterns that guide your mind. Many thoughts run unchecked, repeating the same fears, doubts, or judgments. By sitting quietly and reviewing your day, you begin to see those thought patterns clearly. Maybe you notice that you assumed the worst in several situations. Maybe you realize you spent more energy worrying about outcomes than taking action. Once you see the pattern, you can challenge it. You can ask, does this thought serve me? Is there a better way to think about this? Reflection exposes what was hidden and gives you a chance to redirect your mind. Decisions improve naturally when reflection becomes part of your routine. Every choice you make carries consequences, and if you never review them, you miss the opportunity to refine your judgment. Reflection allows you to look back at decisions, big and small, and ask, what was the result of that choice? Did it move me closer to my values and goals, or did it push me further away? This practice does not change the past, but it transforms the future. It ensures that each new decision is informed by the lessons of yesterday. Reflection also helps you separate emotion from reason. Many times we make choices in the heat of emotion, anger, frustration, excitement, or fear. Later, with distance, we can see more clearly. By reviewing your day, you gain perspective on whether your emotions led you to act wisely or rashly. You may discover that you allowed irritation to influence your words, or that excitement led you to commit to something unrealistic. This insight allows you to prepare for similar moments in the future, so next time you can balance emotion with reason and make a stronger decision. One of the simplest ways to practice reflection is through writing. At the end of the day, spend a few minutes journaling. Write down what happened, how you felt, what you decided, and what you learned. Writing slows down your thoughts and forces you to clarify them. You begin to see patterns that would otherwise remain vague. Over time, your journal becomes a map of your progress, a record of your growth, and a tool for sharper decision-making. But reflection does not always require writing. Sometimes it can be done in silence. A quiet walk, a few minutes of stillness before sleep, or even a pause during the day can be enough. The key is intentionality. It is not just thinking randomly, but deliberately asking yourself, what am I learning from today? How can I use it tomorrow? That simple question turns ordinary moments into opportunities for wisdom. Daily reflection also nurtures humility. When you look back honestly, you see your flaws, your blind spots, and your mistakes. This honesty prevents arrogance. It reminds you that growth is always possible, but it also builds confidence because you notice your progress. You see the small victories, the times you acted with courage, the choices you made well. Reflection balances humility with self-respect, reminding you that you are both a work in progress and capable of growth. Another benefit of reflection is clarity about priorities. Many people spend time on tasks that don't really matter, only to look back months later and wonder where the time went. When you reflect daily, you catch these misalignments early. You ask, did I spend my energy on what truly matters today, or did I waste it on distractions? That clarity allows you to adjust your focus the next day. Reflection protects you from drifting aimlessly by keeping your priorities visible. Reflection also improves relationship. At the end of the day, ask yourself how you treated others. Did you listen fully? Did you speak with kindness? Did you react with patience or with irritation? These small moments define the quality of relationships. By reflecting, you notice where you fell short and where you succeeded. You can then make intentional choices to improve your interactions tomorrow. Over time, this practice deepens trust, respect, and connection. Reflection is also a tool for resilience. Difficult days can feel overwhelming when you are in the middle of them, but when you reflect afterward, you often realize you handled more than you thought. You see the strength you demonstrated, even in small ways. This recognition builds confidence in your ability to endure. It prepares you for future challenges by reminding you that you have already overcome difficult moments before. To make reflection powerful, ask focused questions. Instead of just asking, how was my day? Dig deeper. Ask, what did I do well today? Where did I waste time or energy? What triggered stress, and how did I respond? What decisions did I make, and what were the results? What am I grateful for today? These questions guide your mind toward useful insight. Over time, they reshape the way you think, making your thoughts more constructive and your decisions more intentional. Reflection also helps in breaking negative cycles. Suppose you often end the day feeling unproductive. Through reflection, you might notice that distractions always take over at the same time each afternoon. With that insight, you can plan differently. Or perhaps you realize you keep arguing with a particular person in the same way. Reflection reveals the pattern and gives you the chance to change your approach. Without reflection, the cycle continues. With it, you gain the power to break free. Another important aspect of reflection is gratitude, alongside examining mistakes and lessons. Take time to notice what went right. Acknowledge the small joys, the progress, the moments of kindness. Gratitude shifts your perspective. It prevents reflection from becoming an exercise in negativity and keeps it balanced with appreciation. This not only improves your mood, but also strengthens your ability to see opportunities instead of just problems. Daily reflection also sharpens intuition. By reviewing past decisions and their outcomes, you train your subconscious mind to recognize patterns. Over time, this strengthens your inner sense of judgment. You begin to trust your instincts more because they are informed by repeated observation and learning. Intuition is not magic. It is the result of accumulated reflection and experience. Consistency is the key. Reflection only works if it becomes a habit. A single moment of reflection can bring insight, but lasting transformation comes from daily practice. The more consistent you are, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, reflection is no longer a task. It becomes part of how you live. You naturally pause, consider, and adjust without forcing it. Your thinking becomes sharper, and your decisions become wiser, almost automatically. When reflection is activated daily, you live with greater intention. You stop moving blindly through your day. You stop repeating the same mistakes without realizing it. Instead, you build a life of conscious growth. Every day becomes an opportunity to learn. Every decision becomes a chance to improve, and every setback becomes a lesson that strengthens you for tomorrow. Daily reflection is not just about looking back, it is about looking forward. You take the lessons from today and carry them into tomorrow. You use yesterday's mistakes to shape tomorrow's choices. You turn today's small victories into momentum for greater progress. This forward focus ensures that reflection is not dwelling in the past, but building the future. When you activate daily reflection, you reshape your thoughts and improve your decisions. You break free from unconscious patterns, you strengthen your self-awareness, and you guide your life with clarity. This practice does not take hours. Even a few minutes of honest reflection each day can change the direction of your life. It is simple, but it is powerful. And when you commit to it consistently, you will see your mind sharpen, your decisions strengthen, and your life align more fully with the person you want to become. Chapter 10. Create a lifelong mental system to outsmart every situation. Life is unpredictable. No matter how carefully you plan, no matter how strong you prepare, situations will arrive that catch you off guard. Some will challenge your patience, some will test your strength, and some will stretch your thinking in ways you never expected. The difference between those who break down and those who rise lies in the mental system they carry with them. The system is what allows you to respond consistently with clarity and strength, even when the world around you is uncertain. It is not a single trick or a temporary tactic. It is a lifelong approach, a way of thinking and acting that prepares you to outsmart every situation you encounter. Creating a lifelong mental system begins with building core principles that guide your responses. Principles are anchors. They are the rules you decide to live by, no matter the circumstance. For example, a principle might be, I do not react without thinking. Another might be, I focus on solutions, not complaints. Or, I act with discipline even when I feel resistance. These principles form the foundation of your system. They give you stability in unpredictable moments. Without principles, you drift. With them, you have direction even in chaos. A strong system also relies on routines that reinforce mental clarity. The brain thrives on consistency. When you create daily habits that sharpen focus, calm emotions, and strengthen resilience, you ensure that your mental state is not left to chance. reflection at night, focused work in the morning, physical movement during the day, and intentional rest at night all become part of your mental system. These practices create structure that protects your mind from being overwhelmed by external noise. Over time, they become automatic, freeing your energy for higher-level decisions. Another part of your system must be adaptability. A rigid mind breaks under pressure. A flexible mind bends and finds a way through. This means designing your thinking to be fluid, always open to new information, and willing to adjust strategies without abandoning goals. You remind yourself daily, if one path closes, I will find another. If one method fails, I will try a new one. This flexibility is not weakness. It is the ability to pivot intelligently without losing momentum. Your system must also include a method for regulating emotions. Emotions influence almost every decision you make. Fear makes you hesitate. Anger makes you rush. Excitement makes you overcommit. A mental system requires you to pause, observe, and redirect your emotions instead of letting them control you. Techniques like conscious breathing, reframing situations, or taking strategic pauses become built-in tools. They keep your emotions from hijacking your reasoning. Over time, this practice ensures that you are the one in control, not your temporary feelings. A powerful system incorporates the practice of perspective. Many situations look impossible when you only see them from one angle, but when you step back, zoom out and view them through a wider lens, new solutions appear. Part of your system should be asking perspective questions. How will this look in 5 years? What lesson can I extract here? What is the opportunity hidden in this difficulty? These questions shift your view, and that shift changes everything. Perspective turns heavy obstacles into manageable steps. Resilience must also be built into your system. Life will not only test you once, it will test you again and again. Without resilience, one failure crushes you. With resilience, every failure strengthens you. Resilience means seeing setbacks as temporary, not permanent. It means reminding yourself that one loss is not the end of the story. Your system must include rituals that reinforce resilience, affirmations of your ability to recover, habits of learning from mistakes, and practices that remind you of past victories. When resilience is part of your system, no setback has the power to end your journey. Discipline is another non-negotiable piece. No system works without consistent action. It is easy to design a plan when you feel motivated, but discipline ensures you continue even when the feeling fades. Discipline is built by keeping promises to yourself. Each time you do what you said you would do, you strengthen trust in yourself. Over time, discipline becomes part of your identity. You are the kind of person who follows through. That identity gives you power to continue long after others quit. A lifelong mental system also requires continuous learning. The world is changing, and if your mind remains static, you fall behind. Your system must include constant input of new knowledge, books, conversations, courses, and experiences. But learning is not enough. You must reflect on what you learn and apply it. Otherwise, knowledge becomes clutter. Make it a habit to ask, how does this apply to my life right now? How can I use this? That habit ensures your system evolves with you. Your system must also guard your environment. No mind can remain sharp if it is constantly fed with negativity, distraction, or doubt. Pay close attention to who you spend time with, what information you consume, and the spaces you live in. Build an environment that reinforces your values and supports your focus. Protecting your environment is not selfish, it is essential. because even the strongest system will weaken if it is constantly exposed to toxic influence. Another pillar is decision-making. A mental system is useless if you crumble in the face of choices. You need a framework for decisions. One useful approach is asking, does this align with my values? Does it move me closer to my goals? Will I be proud of this choice in the future? By running decisions through clear filters, you reduce impulsive errors and make choices you can stand by. Over time, this habit sharpens your judgment and builds confidence. Your system should also incorporate gratitude. It may seem small compared to discipline or resilience, but gratitude is powerful. It keeps your mind balanced. It prevents you from being consumed by problems and reminds you of what is working. Gratitude strengthens optimism, and optimism fuels persistence. When you face difficulty, gratitude acts as a counterweight, giving you perspective and hope. Build gratitude into your daily system, and you create emotional stability that endures under pressure. A lifelong system must also include recovery. Without rest, reflection and renewal, even the toughest mind burns out. Many people push until they collapse, thinking toughness means never pausing. But a sustainable system recognizes that strength grows in cycles. Work hard, then recharge, focus deeply, then step back. Just as the body requires sleep, the mind requires moments of stillness. These pauses are not wasted time. They are what allow you to return sharper and stronger. To outsmart every situation, your system must not only be about defense. Resisting fear, handling pressure, controlling impulses, it must also be about offense. That means building habits that move you forward consistently, setting clear goals, reviewing progress regularly, and taking small steps daily. When forward momentum is built into your system, you never stagnate. Even when obstacles appear, you are already moving, and movement itself becomes your advantage. Identity is the thread that ties the system together. Your system will only last if it becomes part of who you are, not just something you do occasionally. You must begin to see yourself as someone who is resilient, disciplined, adaptable, and focused. This identity shapes your actions naturally. Instead of forcing yourself to use your system, you simply live it. You become the kind of person who outsmarts situations because it is who you are, not just what you practice. Building such a system requires patience. It is not created overnight. It is shaped through repetition, adjustment, and persistence. Some days you will slip, some days you will feel weak, but each time you return to your system, you strengthen it. Each time you apply your principles, practice your habits, and reflect on your growth, the system becomes more natural. Eventually it becomes automatic. You don't think about it, you live it. The true power of a lifelong mental system is freedom. Freedom from being controlled by emotions. Freedom from being trapped by fear. Freedom from being derailed by circumstances. When you know you have a system to handle whatever comes, you stop living in anxiety. You start living with confidence. You stop fearing uncertainty. You start embracing challenge. That freedom allows you to live more fully, to take bigger risks, and to pursue greater goals. In the end, creating a lifelong mental system is about taking ownership of your mind. Instead of letting the world decide how you react, you decide. Instead of being pulled by random influences, you build a structure that directs your thoughts and actions. Instead of being at the mercy of situations, you bring consistency, clarity, and strength to each moment. That is what it means to outsmart life, not by predicting every challenge, but by preparing your mind to face any challenge with wisdom and resilience. Make the choice today to begin building this system. Define your principles, create daily habits, train adaptability, regulate emotion, practice perspective, strengthen resilience, live with discipline, commit to learning, protect your environment, sharpen decision-making, practice gratitude, schedule recovery, and anchor it all in your identity. If you live this way, you will carry with you a mental system that will not fade with time. It will grow stronger. As you grow stronger, it will serve you in every stage of life, and it will allow you to thrive in situations where others break down. Once you create this system and live by it, you stop asking, "Can I handle this?" and you start saying, "I am ready for whatever comes." That is the ultimate advantage. That is the outcome of discipline, awareness, and intentional design. And that is how you build a lifelong mental system to outsmart every situation you will ever face.